What is going on? What is going on? Fucking, I don't know why I do that Aussie accent, but you know what? I know why. When I come to this country, you embrace the spirit or you don't. You embrace the atmosphere or you don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, in some way, shape or form, I'm embracing that. I'm embracing that spirit. So, looks like we are actually doing pretty good in terms of everything is running smoothly from what I can see right now, which is great. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, in some way, shape or form, I'm embracing that. I'm embracing that spirit. So, okay, looks cool. Like we are actually doing pretty good in terms of everything is running smoothly. Yeah, that's good enough to me. That's good enough to me, baby. I need to take these earphones off first of all. Sometimes, because I'm so used to like wearing them. Actually, I don't even think it's that. You just be wearing earphones and you just forget. Same with these feathers. Like, you just wear shit and you be forgetting. You don't really necessarily think about it, right? Which is a good segue into this title of this video, right? So, when it comes to justice, right? People just be wearing justice and they just kind of be forgetting that they even have it on, you know? They don't actually really be thinking about it. The repercussions, the meaning, what the reason behind that justice, that sense of justice, what the reason behind that like, justice. There's a few different things that could go into you forgetting that you have this sense of justice. You forgetting about this, stuff. So we're going to get into that. But first, I also want to break down a little bit of the astrology. Just talk a little bit, just a teeny bit about the astrology that we're going through right now. We're currently double cusping, guys. We are double cusping. So there may be some big confusion energy in the air right now. You may be confused, confuzzled, conflunked out, connected, contracted. Well, I just realized we had desktop audio up in this bitch. Desktop audio is not always a good thing. For freestyler that's a good thing. But anyways, don't even... That's for me to know. And y'all apparently to find out just while I'm talking about it. Because apparently I have a big ass, fat ass mouth. Literally. No, joke. So, we're in the cusp. We've got Scorpio moon and Sag moon cusp, right? So this is going to be a blend between that transformative, dark, occult energy of Scorpio. Now, don't get it twisted. Don't listen to me saying dark and occult, and then you think that I'm talking about evil and cults and blah, blah, blah. No, bruh. This is talking about the things you do behind closed doors, the things that goes on behind your closed doors, stuff that you don't express, stuff that you don't outwardly initiate into the external world. But it's on the cusp of Sagittarius, right? Which is all about being mutable and adaptable to your own way and others' ways of seeing and feeling about things. Because fire is seeing and feeling, right? Expressing those feelings, seeing things. The fire is the vision. This is why it talks about the burning bush in the Bible, right? Because he's having a vision. When he says the bush is burning, this is the representation of his imagination. He has a vision. He is seeing something. And this is why the burning bush is literally telling a story about how he sees a vision. Right? So it's all esoteric type of stuff. And if you don't know esoteric stuff, then you'll just get lost and you'll just think that like maybe he's literally talking about a burning bush, but it's all the esoteric meaning behind everything. Everything has an esoteric meaning behind it. Even when people don't even want to have an esoteric meaning behind something, you naturally just put an esoteric meaning behind something. Because in order for something to even be expressed, even have a physical form, it has to be at first have a mental form. This is why you can't even explain things without saying that they like physically saying that they are like something or like or sorry, you can't explain like intangible things without saying that they are like something physical, you know. So if you feel a certain way, you say you feel like X, Y, and Z. You feel like shit. You feel like blah blah blah. You know what I mean? You think it's like this, you know. So you're equating something physical and showing that whatever is mental is like that thing and that is physical, right? So it all came from the mental first. It all came from the esoteric spiritual first. But that's besides the point. That's not the main point of the video, right? But it can tie in. Everything can tie in, mate. Just like I was saying, everything has an esoteric meaning behind it, right? So when it comes to us being in the cusp of Scorpio and Sagittarius, it is that energy of really delving deep in Scorpio, delving deep into your passions and desires, your deep passions and desires and motivations, the things that you internally experience, Scorpio, behind the scenes, the deepness that is you, and then being mutable with that, being mutable and adaptable to that, your own way of seeing and feeling about this, as well as others. So you may be seeing and feeling a lot of people's different desires and meanings and reasonings on why they have certain desires. People may be expressing and going about externalizing people their own desires or transforming the way that they experience these desires and so on and so forth. So you may be going through a lot of things where you're like, okay, well, this is fitting, this is fitting, this is not fitting, this doesn't align with my desire, this aligns with my desire, this aligns with what I internally resonate with, all of that kind of energy. And then with Sagittarius, you know, it's bringing that expansive, bringing that experiential energy, right? So we're going to be going through experiences that will help us to see these kind of things. So you may be experiencing your own desires. So if you are flunked out in your desires, you know, you're just flunked out in a whole bunch of different desires, then of course you're going to be experiencing things in your reality that's going to validate this flunkedness that you're in, this flunked ass desire that you're stuck in, that you can't seem to get out of and shake. So, when it comes to, I hate that I have to keep Facebook open, like just to fucking stay live on there. I'm low-key getting over this whole being live on Facebook, but it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. In due time, in due time. What is going on? Give me this. Thank you. Thank you. Of course, this freaking cat wants to get out of the room just when I'm on live. Like, bruh. Okay. Okay. He's got great timing. He didn't want to hear me talk. He didn't want to hear all the astrology talk. He's like, bitch, I hear you talk about this shit every single... No, jokes. So, where was I before I got rudely interrupted by an animal who doesn't know any better? No. So, you know, If you're plugged out in your desires, like I said, you will be experiencing a whole bunch of this shit. You may also be confused, conflunked between, what do you want to experience, what are you learning, as well as what you desire. What are your deep desires and passions? And then it's all filtered through the sun. And the sun is a cusp between Aquarius and Pisces right now. We're in 2 degrees Pisces. So we're just about on the edge. We're just about at that moment where we're going to fully experience that Pisces vibe, So Pisces, but when we're in Pisces season, you're going to be experiencing your dreams. You're going to be physically experiencing and seeing your dreams and imaginations, right? So Pisces is like the dream world, baby. This is why a lot of Pisces can be delusional, because they exist in their imagination, A lot of Pisces and people who have maybe heavy Pisces placements, you'll be experiencing your imagination. So you would be the type of person to very often validate your own worries. And so you end up manifesting a lot of things that ain't necessarily true because you are so convinced, aka you believe, which is a big Pisces thing, belief, right? You believe your own thoughts and feelings. You believe your own imaginations, right? All of this stuff. And because we're on the cusp with Aquarius, right? You're going to be associating, or, that's that kind of balance between associating with different people, places, and things, or associating with why did I say anyways, that's besides the point. Associating with different people, places, and things versus experiencing, your dreams and imagination. So people, places, and things may even look like your dreams and imagination during this time. How you would imagine and dream things to be, how you would envision things to be, So your associations may even play out an old dream or imagination that you've already been through and you're no longer part of. And so you're starting to see others who may be existing within that dream or imagination with those certain same beliefs, So these associations may come up in your life depending on how deep you're in that and how deep you're out of that. So you may, if you're like getting out of it, you may be just experiencing a whole bunch of associations that are just still in that reality that you're trying to get out of. You're trying to jump into your new dream world, your new dream reality, while everybody else is still associating with those people, places, and things that are part of your old reality, your old dream world, And then once we fully go into Pisces season, what's that? Fully pops and cracks, crackles and pops like the party popper, We're really going to be experiencing that, especially because we got we got the sun, we got Mercury, we got Saturn, we got the North Node, we got Neptune, all in Pisces right now. So heavy experiencing those dreams and imagination. So if your inner world has been all fucked up and mentally fucked up, you're going to be really experiencing all that fucked upness that you've been festering and going through in your mind and your emotions. If your inner world is, a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more beautiful, then of course you're going to really be experiencing that peaceful, that beautiful energy. So it's pretty exciting time. Also a scary time, for some people it's fucking absolutely horrible. So I send all my love and appreciation. I don't know about appreciation. I send all my love, all my love and support to anybody going through this time right now. But always remember, you always reap what you sow. So it doesn't have anything to do with anybody except for you, baby. Except for you. So what the fuck did you do? So if you're like sitting there like worried about like, oh my gosh, am I gonna experience my nightmare? Am I gonna experience my dreams and imaginations? Don't worry too much, baby. Just know at the end of the day, it all started with you. So it ends with you too. Just like your mama said. Your mama always said, what did she say? I brought you into this world and I can take you out of it. All right. I don't know if anybody experienced that. If you experience that, you know your mama was a little bit hard, but at the same time, you know, some certain sayings will have truth to them, so you can't really get mad when there's truth spoken. You know, don't shoot the messenger type of shit. Like, at the end of the day, do not shoot the messenger. That's all I'm gonna say. So, you know, remember at the end of the day, you're the one who can fix that shit. You're the one who can reproduce. I was gonna say, you know, reproduce something new. You know, create something new. We're also going to be coming into a new moon on what, the 28th of February. I'm pretty sure it's soon. So I don't know exactly the calculation, but it's probably going to be around Aquarius moon when we jump into the new moon. I have to validate that later on as we get closer to the time, but it's likely. So likely, you know, because we get, you know, the calculations. You know, every 2 days we change moon sign. We might just be in Capricorn actually, but it's going to be around that Aquarius Capricorn phase, you know. So we'll be experiencing a new world of either our associations, you know, what we associate with, or Capricorn, you know, which is to do with how people see us, our status, you know, what are we standing on. So two very similar areas, you know, your association, they can see you in a certain way, you know, the way people see you can be a part of the people that associate with you, you know? So there's an there's an interlocking kind of, and this happens with every sign. When it's one after the other, there's a blending of the two. There's an overlapping kind of energy because it's a phase, you know, it's like a story. Each sign tells a story, and then going on to the next sign, it's like another story, you know. So Aries, Taurus, what's the next one? Gemini. I don't know why I thought that, because I already knew it was Gemini, but I had that second of doubt, you know what I mean? So that's that confusion energy playing out. But for me, I got a cusp in my sun, and I actually have a cusp moon too, because oh, actually, no. I was going to say I got 28 degrees moon, Sagittarius. No, actually, I got 26 degrees, so I'm just outside of the cusp. Luckily, I scraped out of that cusp energy with my moon, because, you know, that would have been another layer of confusion I would have had to deal with. So when it comes to my sun though, you know, I'd be experiencing that confusion energy on its own. And then, but don't even get me started. My freaking sun and my moon are both like that pretty much. Like they're basically opposite. They're basically opposing. They're actually, what is it called? Inconjunct. So it's like a slightly off angle of an opposition, which still plays out like a little bit confused energy, you know? So it can be like a minor frustration or minor confusion, more frustration than anything, you know? Because of opposition. It's like when someone goes against you, you know, you get a little bit frustrated. Same with the signs, you know, if the signs is going like one side is against the other, facing complete opposite direction, bitch can get a little bit frustrated, you know? So like there's like that energy within me, within my signs interacting with each other. So for me, when we go through like a cusp energy, what I notice at least, sometimes, not all the time, sometimes that cusp energy be playing out a little bit positive for me. You know, I'd be experiencing it on a little bit of a positive level, where it's kind of like a natural energy that like I resonate with, which is like that kind of confusion, you know. So a lot of other people will be running around like headless chicken. I'll be feeling like, oh, I can breathe, I can relax a little bit, like sometimes, not all the time. How much minutes are we going at? 19 minutes. Damn, I've been talking for 19 fucking minutes. I was gonna say, don't mind me in my potty mouth. Honestly, babes, if you've been watching my video for how long and you don't know that I'm a potty mouth by now, you should probably just click off, because I don't think you're paying attention enough. And at the end of the day, I don't owe nobody nothing. for me to just speak like all prim and proper and beautiful and cutie, easy breezy cover girl. I just I can't be doing that. And at the end of the day, what I feel like personally, I feel like this world is too lost into swear words and words in general. So, if anything, I need to be an example of how you need to get the fuck out of your fucking biases. So if swearing is one of those things that I need to do in order to help you get out of your biases, then, I think that's a good teaching lesson, a good teaching moment. So let's get into the video. Justice, guys, justice. What the heck, justice? Is it a benefit or is it a hindrance? And I'm willing to accept comments. If anyone wants to leave comments, although I know a lot of people don't tend to leave comments because like a lot of the stuff I say, you can't really necessarily refute it because even the way I say it as well, like I always put things in an equilibrium state where I show both sides of the argument, and then even that other side over there that you think that like is your unique perspective, that you thought that was unique and nobody else thought like that. I also thought like that too because I also seen that, like I thought in that area too because I like to try to cover as many bases as possible, and then people will be like looking in the comments like, bish, what do I even say? At least that's what I assume. Correct me if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know a lot of people, you know, a lot of people love to correct people in this world. A lot of people love to correct people and start little arguments online all over across the internet. I see so many different arguments. But when it comes to my videos, like, it doesn't seem like anybody really has much to say. So that's why I say that, because I know a lot of people will be like quick to jump the gun on any other person's post who's lost into a bias, who's lost on one side or the other of the scale. But when it comes to me, because I'm so equilibrium about it, I try to get as balanced as equilibrium as possible. People just don't know what to say. People just don't even, they can't really refute it. They can't necessarily disagree with it. They're just like, oh yeah, that's pretty true. Like, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't really like they might not agree completely, but they also know deep down that it's equilibrium. So they're just like, I just can't necessarily go against this because like it's just like objective, it's not subjective. Well, it's as close to objective as it can be. If you know anything, everything is subjective. Doesn't matter what you're coming from, what perspective you're coming from. It's always a subjective point of view, right? So, as objective as you can get, that's still your subjective view of how objective you are, which a lot of people might not understand that and may go over their head. Anyways, I'd love to hear people's thoughts. I'd love to hear people's ideas about this topic that I'm about to break down. And I'm low-key considering maybe let me not digress my plans, but you know, comment down below if you guys would like maybe an open panel type situation. If not, I'm happy to leave it comments, because like I know some people they just don't want to get up. Personally, me, I don't necessarily want to get up on people's videos and fucking talk open panel type shit. I like to get up on my video, but getting up on other people's videos, I'm not always comfortable with. But, I'm open to putting myself out of my comfort zone, and I'm sure a lot of people are too. But with that kind of topic, it's a little bit like I'd like to stay in my comfort zone a little bit longer for that one. So yeah, if you guys like to give any feedback, give any opinions, give any thoughts about this topic, but let's just get straight into it and then we can get into the thoughts afterwards, if anyone's actually watching and wants to comment. So when it comes to justice, right, is it a hindrance or is it a benefit? Okay, so justice can be both, I would say. Honestly, I will start off with saying that justice can be both. I would say, honestly. Sorry about that, guys. Justice can be both. It can be a hindrance and it can be a benefit. Depends on the circumstance, okay? Arguably, I would say in some cases, it is more of a hindrance to a lot of people. So, When it comes to it being a benefit, of course, certain justice things are in place to stop because certain people don't know how to keep their hands out of the cookie jar. They get a little bit greedy. They don't know how to have some self-control, have how to maintain their own desires, how to tame their own inner beast. They just let those things run rampant. And so justice can be definitely a benefit when it comes to those kind of people in the world because we definitely don't need more people running around who do not know how to control themselves. We definitely don't need more people running around who don't know how to keep their hands out of the cookie jar when it comes to all areas of life. Okay. But on the flip side, also, it can be a hindrance because I know a lot of circumstances and a lot of situations in my life where people's sense of justice and morality, even my own sense of justice and morality, has either held me back or got in my way of achieving or being the greatest version of myself. Now, what do I mean by this? Let me break down some examples, right? When it comes to me growing up with a certain religious concept of mind, being like, oh, this is good, this is bad, and being kind of black and white about it. Now, don't get me wrong, don't get it twisted. There's good and bad in everyone. There's good and bad in everything, all right? But when it comes to the way that I was raised, with the certain religious mind that I was raised in, that was a hindrance because it stopped me from actually being able to express my true state of being. Because instead of being myself, I was sitting there worried about whether or not myself was good, whether or not my actions were just, whether or not my actions were righteous in the eyes of God, and whether or not my actions were of sin or of holiness and all of those kind of energies, right? So that just held me back because what was I actually doing the whole time I was overthinking about every single little thing that I just broke down? I wasn't doing shit because I was sitting there being afraid of consequences, of being afraid of life, right? When we know if you've experienced any inkling of real life, you know that it's important to go through an experience in order to understand and know the consequences and know the repercussions of your certain actions, right? You wouldn't know that it's not okay to hurt someone, or to put your hand over the stove without you putting your hand over the stove and then getting burned, so now you know your limits. I know when I was little, I used to always love doing this thing. I got taught this little trick where you could put out a candle with your fingers and you could either lick your fingers, which would kind of like mute the burn, or you could just straight up just grab the candle like that and you just put your finger on the wick. And I knew the ins and outs of this because I knew how long you could put your finger on the wick before it started hurting. And I also knew, whether like how fast you would need to put your finger on the wick in order for it to actually go out, because if you do it too slow, of course you're going to burn yourself because the flame is literally burning your fucking finger right then and there. If you do it fast enough, you'll be able to actually, not burn yourself. But then you do it fast enough and then you hold your finger there, you may actually burn yourself a little bit. But then that also, teaches you a little bit about pain, what's your tolerance, what's your threshold for pain. But when it comes to justice and morality systems that are impeded on people, don't get me wrong, I'm talking about impeded justice and morality systems. This is not necessarily to do with your own justice and morality, because we all have an inner sense of justice and morality, which is innate, right? Like I was just saying, when you go through certain experiences, you learn what is right and what is not, what is just and what is not for your circumstance and your life. So, I'm not talking about this in this video. I want to preface this by saying that I should have said that at the start of the video, but it's alright. I'm not talking about that sense of justice that comes from within, that comes from your own experiences, your own wisdom, your own knowledge, your own knowing. I'm talking about justice in terms of like it says in the freaking thumbnail, or like those pictures are in the thumbnail. You got this bitch over here, you got my art, and then you got this guy over here. You got Mr. Maori with the taiaha, you know, Mr. Maori chieftain, or well, chief is actually a Native American word. So, but for a lack of better term, when explaining to people who are not from New Zealand, you can use the word chief. But in Maori culture, it's ariki. There's actually freaking shit ton of words for chief. Actually, ariki is just one of them. That's your mainstream word for a chief or a leader. So, and then you have the coat of arms behind me in the thumbnail. So when it comes to those justice systems that are impeded on you by external sources, and even so, when it comes to the Maori justice system, that's a whole different story, because that's more cultural based, that's more based on the land, that's more based on nature, right? Which is actually more closer to the natural sense of justice that you would get from going through certain experiences and knowing how much to grab, when it comes to putting your hands in the cookie jar, and how much to leave, because that's really what Maori justice systems are based on. And indigenous, especially like any indigenous justice system that is connected to the land, and those are all about sustainability. Those justice systems are about sustainability, respect of life, respect of land. So these are natural justice systems that actually every human naturally will come to the conclusion of anyway. When it comes to these other man-made type of justice systems, right? When it comes to religious kind of justice systems, government type of justice systems, these can involve natural kind of ways of coming to conclusions of justice, right? At the end of the day, we all know it's not necessarily the best idea to go around killing people, right? That is not a good idea, so that is definitely something that will naturally come to the conclusion of, because why would you want to go around doing all that shit? That just like already, even in these modern times, we're already starting to come to the conclusions of like even just fighting physically is kind of a waste of time. So a lot of other people, they may be still stuck in those paradigms, but I'm not talking about those necessarily either, because those are a little bit more natural. This is why I say it's always about equilibrium. So when it comes to the government impeded and the religious impeded justice systems, these are more talking about morals and justices that have more nuance to them. They're not so black and white, right? You see people get put into jail for certain crimes, and people know that that is unjust, So I'm talking about these kind of systems, these kind of justice concepts. Or like, you see people every single day that are gay. That goes against a lot of religions. That goes against a lot of concepts that a lot of religious people may believe. But at the end of the day, there's good and bad everywhere. There's good and bad people in every culture, in every single group, minority, or whatever the heck you want to call it. So it's not about specifically what the religion may say is good or bad, because the religion says that it's a sin to be gay, right? Of course. But that there's freaking amazing gay people out there, and there's freaking shitty, horrible, disgusting ass, putrid, creepy, pervy ass gay people out there too. So which one would you rather align yourself with? Of course, you're going to want to align yourself more with the gay person that's a lot more beautiful, welcoming, non-creepy, non-pervy, non-judgmental. And now take gay out of the equation and just apply that to anything. You know what I mean? This is what I'm talking about. These kind of systems and these kind of ideals that people may get lost into. And it's not just about sexuality. It's not just about, all of those kind of stuff. I'm just trying to use these as examples for people to get the concept that I'm trying to bring across right now. So for me, growing up, a lot of the time, that was a hindrance. I let justice get in the way of a lot of the things that I necessarily thought was good or bad, which it actually might have ended up being the opposite. I had a deep sense of justice that led me to feeling like I had to fight and argue and blah, 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 and this and that. Till I got older, started to gain a little bit more wisdom from my experiences and started to realize I'm wasting my motherfucking breath. Because at the end of the day, if this person doesn't think that this is right or this is just, then why would I sit there trying to convince someone that it's right or just or that it's not right or just? That's no point. And vice versa, you know, if someone else is trying to convince me of something that's right or just, then why would I waste my breath trying to adhere to that when at the end of the day, that's their view and perspective of what is right or just? So it's not my place to be in someone else's shoes or to act in someone else's justice system and justice ideals. I respect that everyone can have their own justice and morals, but it's not my place to adhere to those. Because at the end of the day, you don't know, you haven't walked a day in my shoes. So if you were to come to say to me, for example, I used to do a lot of stealing, a lot of stealing and not like freaking big time, just like stealing food type shit. At the end of the day, a lot of people may say, oh, well, that's horrible. That's bad. You're a bad person. You shouldn't steal from shops and blah, blah, blah. But I had my own system, my own morals, my own reasoning and meaning behind why I stole. I didn't necessarily steal because I just wanted to steal and I just enjoyed it all the time. Though I did go through a phase where I was doing that. And then that actually led me to stop doing it because I realized that I was overindulging. I was putting my own hand in the cookie jar too much. But when it comes to certain situations, there's certain times, let's say you're homeless. Bitch, like what? You gonna starve or you gonna fucking go to that fucking Woolworths, that Countdown, that supermarket, and you're gonna fucking grab your fucking food and you're gonna eat good, bitch. Like, you know what I mean? So like, or, on the flip side, you may just want to go outside and busk and you may want to beg, whatever it may be for you. A lot of people may view both of those things as wrong. But when you're in a certain position in life, all that shit may go out the window because you need to survive, for the sake of survival. So it's important to know and see where things are, because at the end of the day, if you're getting lost into a bias and a religious mindset or a legal mindset and you're just thinking one thing or the other, then you're not going to be able to see the nuance in every single situation. And a lot of people who do law know this. Some people don't, some people do. But there's certain lawyers that already know this, and that's why they'll even fight for certain people, like certain demographics and groups of people, knowing that they are more wrongfully accused. And so they try to fight and they use to the best of their ability to show that these people are wrongfully accused and end up a lot of the time maybe winning, maybe sometimes losing. But the fact still stands. There's nuance in these situations, which is why the justice system even exists, because people would disagree otherwise, especially in like our Western countries where they have democracy, because democracy is probably more widely accepted. But if a lot of countries that like lost in religion and stuff like that, they don't necessarily have like democratic type systems. Because why? Because a lot of them don't even understand those kind of nuances. They're still lost into biases and extremes of this is bad and this is good. So the government adheres to that because that is what is accepted by the general populace, because the general populace is not as aware. Whereas in Western countries, we're more aware of nuances. We have more common sense, right? So we're able to develop democratic type systems because that is what is widely accepted by the general populace. Otherwise, we would have a freaking uprising, because people would be like, well, how are you wrongfully accusing all of these thousands, all of these thousands and thousands of people, and so on and so forth. But the government still tries to get away with that on small scales, but they know that they can't get away with it on a large scale when it comes to Western countries. And why do you think that is? That is because a lot of people in Western countries, especially like countries where there's indigenous people that have been colonized and stuff like that, like Australia, New Zealand, America, they literally can't even get away with that because a lot of people may even have indigenous background. Maybe it's a little bit down the line, maybe it's further down the line, but those are people who are more tuned with the natural type of justice that I was talking about earlier, where you have a natural sense of justice and morality based on the experiences that you're going through. And of course, you may have disagreements among certain different groups of people. But when you're following the natural nature of the atmosphere and your experiences and what the atmosphere is teaching you, there's a whole different level of justice and a sense of respect and reverence for things. And this is where it leads you to not being so greedy or taking so much, because you actually know the value of things. Where a lot of people maybe who just grow up and all they've known is Western mindsets, all they've known is Western culture, and then they don't actually know value as much. They're not able to comprehend the value of certain things. They're not able to comprehend the value of what it took to actually produce certain things. And this is like a colonized kind of mindset that you may be lost in if you're stuck in this way of thinking. Oh, damn. So, on the other side as well, when it comes to, a lot of people may say you should always fight. You should always fight for people who are going through stuff or disadvantaged and so on and so forth. On some cases that may be 100% the righteous thing to do. But in a lot of cases, that isn't. And from my experiences that I've gone through, a lot of cases, that isn't. Because when it comes to people who don't fight for themselves, there's a level of... Because everybody knows what they're doing at the end of the day. When it comes to people who don't fight for themselves or stand up for themselves, there's a level of them having something or feeling like they have nothing, they don't have something to come back from, because they feel like that they deserve this in some way, shape, or form. And you coming in and fighting for them isn't going to make them think that they don't deserve that anymore. They're still going to believe what they want to believe. They're still going to experience what they're going to experience. Because at the end of the day, we always reap what we sow. So if you're fighting for someone else and they're reaping what they sow, you're just putting yourself into that cycle of experiencing what they're reaping in anyway. So it doesn't matter how much you fight, you're just involving yourself into a battle that isn't necessarily yours to fight. So it's important. It's very important in a lot of circumstances to leave people where they're at, unless they specifically want help, or maybe they don't necessarily want it, but they're open to it. There's a few different reasons why. But if someone doesn't want it and they're not open to it, then you're wasting your breath. You're wasting your time. And you thinking that you have some ulterior high sense of justice is actually going to hold you back. It's actually holding you back. It's held me back. It's held so many different people back. That's why a lot of people, you'll see them be really, really generous, real, like, fight for your right type people, but then completely flip the gun and then turn into very selfish, quote unquote, selfish type of people. It's not that they're turning selfish. It's that they realized how to actually conserve their energy and where to actually place their fight, because a lot of people that are lost into senses of justice and righteousness and blah blah blah. They place their fights into wrong areas, and then they end up fighting for people and then getting shit involved into their life that they didn't actually have to experience. They didn't actually have to go through that. And then they may be sitting there thinking, oh, well, I have to do this because it's my blah, blah, blah. I have to do this because it's my friend. I have to do this because it's this person. No, you don't necessarily have to do that. You're just putting responsibilities and burdens onto yourself that you don't actually have to experience. You don't actually have to do none of that. And the quicker you can free yourself from that, the quicker you'll feel lighter, you'll feel more free, you'll feel more in tune with your sense of morality and justice than you ever have. And you won't feel so fucking guilty all the time, I'll tell you that much. I spent fucking ages trying to do shit like that, help people that didn't want to be helped. Even at one point I was that person that didn't want to be helped, and people were helping me. So I've been on both sides of the spectrum, and I'm telling you right now, you're wasting your fucking breath. Don't even fucking worry about it. That person will come out of their shit when they're ready to, and when you come to that conclusion and really accept that, your life will be a lot more peaceful. I'll tell you that much, baby. Baby. Okay? So don't waste your breath, babes. Because you'll just be thinking that you need to charge and go towards certain things and ride your gallant horse into battle for something that nobody asks you to battle that battle. Nobody asks you to fucking ride your horse or charge towards that. And then you getting some kind of high horse and being like, oh, I did this for you. Bitch, nobody asked you. Nobody wanted you to do that. Okay? So at the end of the day, know your place. Know your place. That's what's really important when it comes to this kind of stuff too. And I always speak from experience, babe. So don't get butthurt and be like, oh my gosh, like you don't know what you're talking about, babes. I'm speaking from personal experiences. So it's really very, very imperative. Very imperative. Imperative. So let me think if there's any other points that I should make before I end this video, because we are 15 minutes in. I feel like I've done pretty good on this topic, but let me know as well what you guys think. Is justice more of a hindrance? Is it more of a benefit? I'd love to hear anybody else's points that they possibly could make to, because we can all help to learn and grow from this. And at the end of the day, there is really not a right or wrong when it comes to this. I think that more so, it's about what is right or wrong for you in your personal life at your current time, in your life. So right now, it may be more important for you to align more with justice, with morality, in terms of the mainstream general sense of it. Maybe in a week, maybe in a month, maybe in a year, it might be more important for you in your path right now to not so much align with it, because it may be more of a hindrance for you because of how it is actually playing out in your mind, how you're actually interpreting that sense of justice. So to really hit the nail on the head, it's really not about the justice itself, right? It's about what kind of justice. Where does that justice come from? Is that justice based on a bias? Are you getting lost into that sense of justice, or are you just utilizing that justice as a bitch, which is really what we should do with everything. You should always utilize everything as a tool, not like as a idol, because a lot of people in this world are lost into idol worship. And you may be like, I'm not lost into idol worship, but if you uphold justice as some kind of end all be all, and that's like the concrete thing, you can't see anything any other way. It's just, this is just wholly wrong and this is just wholly right. Then you worship idol. You worship the idol called justice. You worship the goddess Ma'a, right? So this is what it means to worship idols. This is what it means to get lost into a motherfucking bias, babes. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think. what your guys' points are, any other validations, and sorry about the fucking shaking, guys. I'm actually on the bed, so the bed's a little bit freaking shaky. And when I move, the fucking camera moves, so might not be filming on the bed anymore. So yeah, I'll see you guys for the next video. And if I have any other points, I'm gonna make a part 2, of course, of course. You already know. You already know. So peace. Peace. Whakataka te hau ki te ora. Why do I shake my head?